The second season is fast approaching, and we're all waiting in anticipation to see just how savage Dong Eun's revenge will play out. There's been lots of theories out there already, and a new trailer that we'll be breaking down in a moment. The biggest question I have in mind is, whose side will Do Young take? His poster did reveal a white angel trumpet pointing down, so that might mean that he could be an enemy but then an ally, but then he might just kind of stay out of everything and kind of be in the middle. Not quite sure yet. Who will live and who will die? There are some new revelations and assumptions we can make based on the official trailer that just came out. So let's break it down. Right away on the very first frames, we hear Do Young say, "Once this revenge is over, will you find happiness?" As we see Dong Eun remove her coat to reveal her burn marks. And as we noticed in the teaser before, we see Do Young's eyes kind of light up in shock and in terror. And there's this reflection in his iris that kind of implies that he's seeing his wife cheating on him. In the next frame, we see Yeonjin's mom open a locker. There's a bunch of talismans in there, and we can only presume that Yeonjin is going to get the help of her mother to go after Dong Eun. Maybe this is where that crooked cop comes back with a larger role to play. We then see Dong Eun and Yeonjin having an intense conversation where Yeonjin continues to keep having a power trip and talks down on Dong Eun. I have to admit though, this smile from Dong Eun is so good. You can literally feel the tension and epic savagery she is about to unleash. That smile is so scary and beautiful at the same time. The following sequence then cuts through all of our bullies with Myung-oh talking on the phone. We know that he's dead now, but then there's a quick shot of his murder. You see the murderer with a white dress, and then it quickly cuts to Dong Eun who's wearing a white coat. Very clever editing there. But I still don't think Dong Eun did the crime there. I still think it's Yeonjin with her green shoes and the scar or the cut that she has on her foot. And Myung-oh is at a point where he's starting to blackmail his friends, including Yeonjin and that secret love child. We get a quick glimpse on a moment between Dong Eun and Yeonjun, and I don't think there's a happy ending between these two. They're both on a path to destruction, and there's no room for love in this revenge. I would really hate it if they ended up doing that for the show, because it would just ruin the shine out of it. This is a revenge story, and there's no room for love. We go through some quick cuts with Yeonjin reflecting on why poor people believe in poetic justice and karma. And then this kind of freaked me out a little bit. There's this knock on the window, and then we cut to a scary look on Hyun-nam's face, and it's freaking Yeonjin. And I know that we're super excited to see Yeonjin get what she deserves, but she is not going down without a fight. And I'm only hoping that our very own Sherlock, Hyun-nam, doesn't end up dying here. And again, this smile is even way better than what we got in the intro. She is truly devilish. We then go through some themes of the trailer that gives us a sneak peek of all the craziness that's about to happen. These next scenes might actually be from season 1, I'm not too sure, but I'm thinking this was added to cut that tension a little bit, because we go from Yeonjin finding the room full of pictures, and then cut to a room with no pictures. It's the same room, but in different events in the timeline. But then we cycle through another sequence of our bullies to remind us all of the terrible things they did to Dong Eun, with Yeonjin saying she'll find another curling iron to use on you. I think this line was also taken from part 1 when they were in high school, and Yeonjin said this to Dong Eun when they first started bullying her. The edit for this trailer was simply reminding us that Dong Eun is going to go through some tough situations in part 2. Her past trauma might be fueling her revenge, but it's also a burden that follows her 24/7, and she's going to suffer. And then there's a glimpse of Yeonjin giving Dong Eun's mother some cash, but since her mother's picture is also on her revenge board, I'm not too sure how that's going to end there. In this sequence, we need to take note of Do Young's part when he's talking to Yeonjin, and he's pretty pissed off, saying, "What did you end up protecting?" I'm going to assume that this is when he turns his back on her, where Dong Eun's revenge is in full swing. Isolate her from everyone and make her live in hell. We quickly see Lisa Ra with blonde hair, and it looks like she's talking to Hae-jung, where she says, "Only Satan shall rejoice in the pain of others." And I'm going to assume that she's trying to repent for all of the crap that she's done. We see glimpses of Yeonjung and his mother again saying some lines from part 1 in another attempt to fill in some gaps as to not give away too much for part 2. That's also there to remind us that this guy is pretty messed up in the head too. He's going to get his hands really dirty in part 2. And then we end the trailer with a heart-pounding montage of the savagery that's about to ensue, and we end on a shot of Dong Eun by herself saying, "I hope that it burned for you too, like it did for me. I hope that it was painful." In that final montage, we did see some fire, but I don't think that's how it ends. I don't think that's how Yeonjin actually dies. I think there's going to be a slow, searing death that she's going to experience, just like the burn marks that she experienced in high school. I think part 2 is going to be savage, where part 1 was just really setting things up for us, and then part 2 is just going to be all of the intensity and the brutality of Dong Eun's revenge, and I cannot wait for it. In any case, that is it for me, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. Leave us a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Let us know what you think about part 2, and give us your theories and predictions. Subscribe if you haven't already. Tap that bell so you know we post new videos. And once again, we'll see you next time.